When it comes to children's ministry, dead time is your worst enemy. You could be sailing along with everything going great when suddenly something happens that catches you off guard, plunges everything into chaos, and you're left scrambling and sputtering trying to regain control. Nobody needs that. And so today we're going to look at some best practices for eliminating dead time. Ephesians 5:15 through 16 says, "See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil." Redeeming the time in kids ministry means making the most of every moment. This is our chance to make a difference in the hearts and minds of this next generation. We don't want to miss out because we're spending all of our time putting out fires instead of teaching the truth. This is why we must guard against dead time. Dead time is your enemy. First off, what is dead time and where does it come from? Simply put, dead time is when nothing's happening to keep your audience's attention, but you still need their attention. Obviously, this is a bad combination. Dead time occurs most often from a lack of planning, which includes poor communication, or from circumstances beyond our control. The result is the loss of the group's attention, resulting in 1,000 smaller problems. We can't control everything, but there are 3 ways we can control dead time. First of all, create a personal plan. Dwight Eisenhower said, "In preparing for battle, I have always found that plans are useless, but planning is indispensable." In other words, your plan won't always work out, but making one forces you to think through the situation and the process will leave you better off in the long run. And for those of you who do tend to wing it, please do yourself a favor and take a few minutes to write down a plan. In the heat of the teaching moment, what's up next might slip from your mind and then you're left scrambling, and the dead time wins. While you're at it, it's also helpful to make a checklist so you don't forget anything important. Just remember the checklist. In your plan, make sure you know your stuff, what you're teaching, what you'll need, and how it all fits together. Don't forget to think through transitions between topics or activities. Practice your content beforehand, and if possible, practice any illustrations or activities as well. Dead time often occurs when something you planned didn't work out the way you thought it would, because you didn't test it out beforehand. A little bit of planning and communication go a long way. You can also plan for what you know will happen. You can be sure that someone will need to use the bathroom, or that transitions between parts of the program will be made, or that dead time might occur as children are checked in. So why not be prepared? Include some fun activities or questions in your plan for those potential dead times, and instead make them come alive through great teaching moments or fun relationship building activities. You could teach a new marching game if you're taking a group to the restroom. You could have a question of the week that you ask the kids whenever you get a chance. You could have a welcome activity or game for the children as they're coming in. These are all great opportunities to invest in the children that might have been overlooked or even wasted without a clear, personal plan to capitalize on them. The point is, when you're prepared and you have a plan for yourself personally, you can be ready to expect the unexpected and be available to help others. Which leads us to point number 2, know the team plan. It's not enough to just have a plan for yourself. You're part of a team. You need to know how what you do fits into what the team is doing, which means you need to know a few things. Know the schedule. You can have it printed off and even memorize the important times if necessary. Remember to use a watch. Know your job. This goes back to point 1, but also know when and how it fits into the bigger picture with the rest of the team. So if you're part of the sign-up team, you need to be ready earlier than other people. It's especially important to be on the same page when you're running large group. If you're part of the large group team, you want to know who's up next or what's happening next. And if it's you, be waiting in the wings, ready with everything you need. As you transition between large group participants, you want to aim for 0 dead time. Remember, if the audience attention were a ball, you don't ever want to give it enough time to hit the floor. You want to begin as soon as the teaching partner before you ends. Another idea to make sure that there's no dead time during large group especially is to have a designated person who's energetic and engaging and whose job is to help keep things moving. But of course, there are no guarantees in this business, which leads us to point number 3, have a backup plan. Author Jim Collins popularized a phrase in his classic book, Great by Choice, where he studied dozens of companies to find what differentiated those who had survived in highly volatile economic conditions from those who didn't. One of the traits that these successful companies all shared was what he called productive paranoia. This concept may best be summarized in a simple question they would all ask themselves, though in different ways. It was this two-worded question that helped them quantify risk, prepare for the worst, and face uncertainty from a position of strength and planned flexibility. That little question was, what if? Lots of things can happen that don't go according to our plans. But by asking themselves, what if, and taking steps to protect themselves from possible danger, they were able to stay in the game and outlast their competition. In the same way, there are so many things you can't control. So what do? The key is to think it through and prepare accordingly. A great rule is to always have extra. Have extra content to teach, have extra activities planned, extra illustrations, extra handouts, extra batteries, extra extension cords, and extra games. You get the idea. A little extra effort on the front end could be the difference between a great program or a disaster. And since we can't ever know which it will be, it's always best to plan ahead of time. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Productive paranoia doesn't mean spending hours dreaming up every possible worst-case scenario. But taking time to think through a few of the most common issues you might face is a great way to prepare for the unknown. One practical example as a small group leader is to always have a review game tucked away in your teaching bag. Having the game Zonk or dice and a scoreboard are great examples. In a pinch, when something goes wrong, you can always think up some review questions about what's been taught. That's why you need to be listening to the lesson. Remember, dead time thrives on uncertainty and indecision. By having things ready beforehand, there is no indecision and you can switch tracks without ever missing a beat. Ask yourself and the team, what if? Think it out and then put in a little extra work. While there may be many unknowns outside your control, there's still a ton you can do to help ensure a great children's program. And by thinking critically, planning ahead, and communicating well, you can eliminate the most common situations that bring dead time into your program. Instead of getting thrashed by the waves of uncertainty, you can learn to harness the unknowns and create an impactful, high-quality children's program every time.